Republican lawmakers are calling for Donald Trump to resign, not Democrats, Republicans. And what triggered this? What scandal? What bombshell revelation? A budget hearing, a routine, boring budget hearing where members of his own party asked basic questions about spending. That's all it took. Trump's response was so unhinged, so filled with threats against sitting members of Congress, that even his most loyal defenders are now backing away. What you're about to hear will show you exactly how close we are to a constitutional crisis. Let me take you back to December 3rd. The House Budget Committee is holding hearings on federal spending priorities. This is the kind of work Congress does every single year. Routine, procedural. The kind of thing C-SPAN broadcasts and nobody watches. Republican members were asking questions about Trump's proposed budget. They wanted to understand the numbers. They wanted to know how cuts would affect their districts. Nothing unusual. Nothing hostile, just legislators doing their jobs. Representative Tom Cole from Oklahoma, a longtime Trump supporter, chairman of the Appropriations Committee, asked a straightforward question. The question was about proposed cuts to agricultural subsidies and how they would impact rural communities. That's it. A fair question from a member representing farming districts. But Trump was watching the hearing live, and he interpreted Cole's question as disloyalty, as a personal attack, as betrayal by someone who was supposed to be on his team. Now let's pause here for a second. Presidents get questioned by their own party all the time. This is called legislative oversight. It's literally Congress's constitutional job. But Trump has never been able to distinguish between legitimate questions and personal attacks. And what happened next proved it. According to multiple reporters monitoring Trump's Truth Social account, within 30 minutes of Cole's question, Trump began posting. The first post attacked Cole directly, called him a weak rhino who never supported the MAGA agenda. Then came a second post, then a third. By the end of the day, Trump had posted 17 separate attacks, each one more unhinged than the last. According to CBS News, Trump's posts escalated from political criticism to personal threats. He called Cole a traitor who should be primaried and removed from Congress. He suggested Cole might be taking bribes from special interests. Then he pivoted to attacking other Republicans who had asked budget questions, naming them specifically, calling for their removal from committees. But the real bombshell came in his evening posts. According to CNN's monitoring of his social media, Trump wrote that members of Congress who question him are enemies of the American people and should face consequences. He used phrases like, "they need to be dealt with," and "patriots know what to do." Read that again. A sitting president telling his followers that members of Congress need to be dealt with. Legal experts immediately flagged these posts as potentially inciting violence against sitting members of Congress. This wasn't political rhetoric. This was a president appearing to threaten legislators for doing their constitutional duty. This sent shockwaves through Capitol Hill because it revealed something Republicans had been desperately trying to ignore. Trump cannot handle even mild pushback from his own party. When your own committee chairman can't ask basic budget questions without triggering a multi-hour meltdown that includes veiled threats, that's not leadership. That's instability. The reaction from Republican lawmakers was immediate and unprecedented. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska issued a statement on December 4th calling Trump's behavior unacceptable. She said it was time for serious conversations about whether Trump should continue in office. But she wasn't alone. Senator Mitt Romney went further. He stated publicly that Trump's posts were dangerous, potentially criminal, and that the president needed to resign for the good of the country. Romney called Trump's behavior a threat to democratic governance. He said Republicans could no longer ignore what was happening. Now, this isn't the first time Trump has exploded at members of his own party. The pattern is unmistakable and terrifying. Let me walk you through it. Mitch McConnell, one of Trump's most effective allies for years, confirmed judges, blocked Democratic legislation, defended Trump through impeachment. But when McConnell acknowledged Biden's victory and refused to back Trump's election fraud claims, Trump spent months attacking him, called him a dour, sullen, unsmiling political hack, nicknamed him Old Crow, actively recruited primary challengers against McConnell's allies. All those years of loyalty, gone in an instant. Mike Rounds. Senator from South Dakota, as conservative and pro-Trump as they come, a reliable vote for Trump's agenda on everything. But in January 2022, Rounds said in an interview that the 2020 election was fair and legitimate. One truthful statement. That's all it took. Trump immediately called Rounds a jerk, stupid, and a rhino, said Rounds would never have been elected without Trump's endorsement. For telling the truth once, Rounds became an enemy. Liz Cheney. She voted with Trump over 90% of the time during his presidency, third-ranking Republican in House leadership, impeccable conservative credentials. But she voted to impeach Trump after January 6th and joined the committee investigating the attack. Trump made destroying her political career his personal mission, recruited a primary challenger, campaigned against her relentlessly, successfully removed her from Congress. Her crime? Prioritizing constitutional duty over personal loyalty to Trump. Kevin McCarthy. He literally flew to Mar-a-Lago after January 6th to repair his relationship with Trump, defended Trump constantly, blocked investigations, gave Tucker Carlson exclusive access to January 6th footage, everything Trump wanted. But when hardline Trump supporters voted McCarthy out as Speaker, Trump didn't lift a finger to save him. Years of absolute loyalty bought McCarthy nothing when he actually needed Trump's help. And now it's Tom Cole and other Budget Committee members joining this list. The pattern is unmistakable. You can show Trump complete loyalty, vote for his agenda every single time, defend him through every controversy. But the moment you do your actual job as a legislator, the moment you ask a question or state an inconvenient truth, Trump views it as betrayal and comes after you with everything he has. So what specifically did Trump post that crossed the line from political criticism into dangerous territory? Let me break it down. First, he used the word traitors repeatedly to describe elected officials. In Trump's previous rhetoric, calling someone a traitor has often preceded violence against that person by his supporters. When Trump calls someone a traitor, his base understands it as permission to target them. Second, Trump wrote that these lawmakers need to be dealt with and that patriots know what needs to be done. Legal analysts say this kind of language, directed at specific individuals by someone with Trump's following, could constitute incitement. It's not an explicit call to violence, but it's clearly suggesting that his supporters should take action against named individuals. Now, here's the kicker. Trump also posted the office phone numbers of several lawmakers he was attacking, along with encouragement for his supporters to let them know what real Americans think. Within hours, those lawmakers were receiving hundreds of threatening calls. Staff members reported callers saying the representatives should be hanged for treason, should be shot, should watch their backs. Capitol Police had to increase security for multiple members based on the volume and severity of threats. This left Republican leadership in an impossible position. On one side, they need to maintain their relationship with Trump and his base. The MAGA wing is extremely powerful. Crossing Trump publicly can end political careers. Republican primaries are won and lost based on Trump's endorsement. On the other side, they have members of their own caucus receiving death threats, all because they asked legitimate questions during a hearing. Here's the problem. There's no safe middle ground. Republican leaders can either defend their members and condemn Trump's posts, which means facing his wrath and potentially losing their own positions, or they can stay silent and hope it blows over. But that means abandoning their colleagues. Normalizing presidential threats against Congress. Neither option is politically survivable without significant cost. Legal experts are noting that Trump's posts may have crossed into criminal territory. Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney, appeared on MSNBC and explained that threatening members of Congress to influence their official actions is a federal crime. She noted that directing followers to target specific individuals with language suggesting they should be dealt with potentially violates 18 U.S. Code Section 115, which prohibits threatening federal officials. Andrew Weissman, former FBI general counsel, went further. He said Trump's pattern of posting threats followed by his supporters taking action creates a direct causal link. He pointed to January 6th as the clearest example. Trump told supporters to fight. They fought. Trump told them to march to the Capitol. They marched. When Trump says lawmakers need to be dealt with, people who follow his instructions will attempt to deal with them. Even conservative legal voices expressed alarm. Jonathan Turley, who has defended Trump through multiple controversies, stated on Fox News that Trump's posts were reckless and potentially illegal. He said a president cannot use his platform to intimidate Congress, that Trump's language about patriots knowing what to do was dangerous, given the violence we've already seen. When Jonathan Turley is criticizing Trump, something fundamental has shifted. So what does this mean going forward? First, there's an immediate governing crisis. How does Congress conduct oversight when asking questions triggers presidential meltdowns and death threats? According to Politico, several Republican committee members privately told leadership they're reconsidering their willingness to hold hearings or ask tough questions. They have families. They've seen what happens when Trump targets someone. The risk isn't theoretical anymore. Second, this is causing a genuine fracture in the Republican Party. You've got the MAGA base that believes any criticism of Trump is betrayal. That threatened lawmakers probably deserve it for not being loyal enough. Then you've got traditional conservatives who believe in constitutional governance, separation of powers, congressional oversight. These two factions are increasingly incompatible. Third, this is about fundamental democratic principles. Congress is a co-equal branch of government. Legislators are supposed to question, investigate, and provide oversight of the executive. When a president responds to oversight with threats and intimidation, when his followers target lawmakers with violence, the entire constitutional structure breaks down. According to the New York Times, multiple Republican senators held an emergency meeting to discuss what they're privately calling the Trump problem. Participants said there's genuine concern that Trump's behavior is spiraling, that the party needs to decide whether to continue defending him, or whether protecting democracy requires them to break with him publicly. The problem? Breaking with Trump likely means losing their next primary. But continuing to enable his behavior means watching American democracy deteriorate in real time. Then Trump doubled down. Rather than backing off after the initial backlash, Trump posted again on December 5th, this time attacking the Republican senators who called for his resignation. He called Romney a stone-cold loser, said Murkowski was always a traitor who should be expelled from the party. Then he posted that any Republican who calls for his resignation is finished in politics and will face primary challenges from real America First candidates. This response revealed everything about Trump's psychology. Rather than recognizing he'd crossed a line, rather than attempting to de-escalate, Trump's instinct was to attack harder, threaten more severely, demand absolute submission. So here's where we stand. Donald Trump responded to routine budget questions from his own party by launching a multi-day social media tirade that included apparent threats against sitting members of Congress, leading Republican lawmakers to publicly call for his resignation for the first time. This isn't about Trump having a bad day. This isn't about being thin-skinned. This is about whether Congress can function as a co-equal branch of government when the president responds to oversight with threats. If Trump faces no consequences for this, if he can continue threatening lawmakers who ask questions, then we've established that presidents are above congressional oversight, that they can rule through intimidation. That's not a republic of laws. That's authoritarian rule. More Republican lawmakers are reportedly considering whether to join resignation calls. Trump's posts remain active. His supporters continue targeting the lawmakers he named. Capitol Police are monitoring threats and evaluating whether additional security measures are needed. The stakes have never been higher. The threats have never been more explicit. And the future of congressional independence has never been more uncertain. Subscribe to this channel because this story is developing by the hour. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Will Republicans actually follow through, or will they fold like they always do? I'll see you in the next one.